I know you want this.
Hey baby, can I be your boyfriend?
Can I get some of that?
You should smile more.
Hey, chocolate.
Let me talk to you for a second.
Damn, you sexy.
Can I get your number?
You think you're too good to talk to me?
Well, fuck you too then.
Damn, girl.
Damn.
Damn, girl.
Damn, girl.
Damn, girl.
Hey baby,
You
can I
think
be
you're
your
too good to
boyfriend?
talk to me?
Can I get
Let me
some of
talk
that?
to you for a second.
Can I get your
Can I
number?
get to know you?
I think when I consciously think about it, I realize that we should be a lot more mad about it than we are. People are kind of just taking it in stride, but why do we think it's normal?
Okay, so with a show of hands, how many of you have been catcalled?
What is catcalling to you?
Catcalling to me is a loud outburst or noise, just noise from a man unsolicited taking place on the street about my body or face.
Just being hollered at, basically. You know, just because you look nice, or you don't even have to look nice, just because you're a girl, you just get hollered at. Yeah.
You think of, like, you think of literally catcalling, I instantly think of like cats outside at night, like meowing really loud, and I feel like living from the city, I know exactly what that sounds like. And you compare that to like a guy or a girl calling someone else that they think attractive, like all the way across the street, like yelling things at them, then that's catcalling.
A bike by, like, you know, some people walking on the sidewalk in the street, and you know, I can hear a guy like yelling at this woman or something, and she just kind of keeps walking. And for me, it's really disturbing.
Yeah, I think any type of like whistling or noise making towards a woman for no reason is kind of just to like get her attention or tell her that she's like pretty or something like that would be my definition of catcalling.
I said to him, I literally said, "Did you just follow me here? Don't do that." So a couple weeks ago, actually, I was walking past the tech center, and I heard a guy say "miss." Like, he went like, "Miss, excuse me, miss," and I ignored him because he looked like a student, but he also kind of looked like a bomb or something. Like, I thought he was gonna ask me for change, so I ignored it, and I just kept walking. And so I walk past the tech, and I get to Anderson to go to my class, and I'm walking up the ramp in front of Anderson, and I hear "miss" again, and I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." And so I turned to my side, and it's the guy, and he goes, "I just wanted to tell you that you have the most beautiful legs, ... and ass I've ever seen." And I was like, I said to him, I literally said, "Did you just follow me here? Don't do that." And then he made a face, and he just like kept walking. It was just really creepy, and it was like, "Are you kidding me? You followed me."
And so why do you think people catcall?
From what I've experienced, I think it's mainly men who do the catcalling.
I think it does start with the media, and then the people that are the ones that are going to have to enforce it, though, are the people that you see as role models. So, like your parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, whoever you see as a role model, I think they're going to be the ones that are going to have to also say, you know, this is how you should act. And then from there, you have to be the one to actually follow through on what you learn through the media and what your parents are teaching you.
Honestly, I have a theory. Like, I kind of think it might be because they want to get your attention and they want your attention in return.
How do you get someone's attention that when you don't know them and they're waiting to talk to them or like to compliment them?
In reality, if they really thought about it, you're not really going to give them any attention if they're just yelling at you. So that's kind of why I don't understand why someone would just do that.
I feel like when you compliment someone, it's the easiest way to get on someone's good side. To let them know that you see them in a good light from the start.
It's like showing confidence, you know, like, oh, you actually, like, you know, are confident enough to say something, or it's like an icebreaker essentially. Like, you might say something funny, you know, depends.
kind of like they just see something that they like. They just see what they like and they just call out. They don't really care how you feel.
So they don't know you're in that position.
Yeah, they don't know you, so.
And I think that they feel as though they deserve a response, and you're bitchy if you don't talk to them, and they have like negative things to say about you if you don't want to speak back to them.
So my name is Aimee Meissner, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of Hollaback. And Hollaback addresses street harassment or sexual harassment in public space. Sexual violence and gender-based violence happens on a spectrum, and on one end of the spectrum we see things like street harassment. On the other end of the spectrum we see things like, you know, rape and domestic violence. But yet it is still a spectrum, right? And so it carries a lot of the same traits. Street harassment, like rape, like domestic violence, causes depression, it causes anxiety, it causes post-traumatic stress disorder, and ultimately all of these things have the same root cause. All of it is a manifestation of the fact that we live in a world that's still kind of sexist, still kind of racist, and still kind of homophobic.
This culture of disrespect in the sense that you know, people, usually men, think they can just get away with saying stuff like, I don't know, I've heard lots of things like, oh hey snowflake, that's a new one, like I wish I was those jeans. But, you know, where does that come from, right? Like, why do people do this?
Movies and television shows and reality television showcases only one type of woman. That's like someone who is young and attractive and dresses well, has, you know, big breasts, and like is not very smart. Doesn't really showcase their intellectual abilities or their strengths.
Hey, Susie Q, what's cooking with you?
Your teeth look whiter than new. My teeth aren't new, but my toothpaste is new Pepsodent.
You're only a bird in a gilded cage, a beautiful sight to view. So dainty and delicate you seem, no rights would they give to you.
It's funny because, like, I know I pegged Carl's Jr. for being kind of, you know, like, they over-sexualize their ads, but it's been going on for so long. And I remember being, like, a kid, like, being, like, 10 or 11 years old in the 90s, and those commercials had, like, smoking hot Cindy Crawford in jeans and a t-shirt, and she looked amazing. And that was a great ad. As the years went on, not only did like the people who were featured in the ads get a little tackier, like Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian. What was Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. You know, that kind of stuff. But the clothes came off more, and it became so much more about sex.
Gentlemen, if we want this business to stay on top, we have to stay at the forefront of the internet. David? Green? Thanks, Vanessa.
Hey baby, you got me all hot and crazy, girl. Oh yeah.
The majority of you know, producers and people who are high up in, you know, media are men, and so they're catering to men.
You know, there's definitely a historical aspect to the mistreatment of women. And maybe it manifests itself in street harassment today. I don't know why. I honestly, it's just, I wish I had an answer. Maybe we get everyone in that is doing us and have a big intervention, and we can brainstorm and have like a focus group and figure out why is this happening. But who knows? But it's a problem.
Is catcalling street harassment?
Yes. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's a line sometimes.
Yeah.
So there's no definitive line, is what you're saying. Everyone has their own line.
Yeah. The same way it could be flattering or scary or insulting.
Some girls like to be catcalled. I mean, like, it's like a compliment in a way. Like, oh, well, thank you. You know? I mean, I'm not saying it's everybody, but there are a few people that, you know, that's a compliment to them.
When I was really young, a homeless guy yelled cunt at me, and I had no idea what it meant. And it was, like, absolutely the most, like, horrible experience because he was really, really sick and just, like, didn't really know, and I had no idea what was going on. My mom kind of pulled me away really quickly. But it was, you know, it's something that I'll never forget, and it was mortifying.
For me, like, yeah, it is disrespectful and rude, and they're just looking at me as like a body, it's just another woman, and they do it to everyone. But for me personally, I don't care, because they're just nobody to me as well. So it's just kind of like, I think everyone, it varies from person to person. It's just very different.
Right. But then, like, when you think about it, it's more than that. 'Cause even when you hear things like "girl, you're beautiful," like, even things like "girl" is such a demeaning term. Like, you think of when you want to make yourself seem good, you say, "I'm a man," and when you want to marry someone, you say, "I want to marry a woman," or "I want to marry a man." You don't say, "I want to marry a girl," "I want to date a girl," "I want to hook up with a girl," or "I want to hook up with a boy." Like, you use those, like, childish terms to describe things that aren't important to you. So, like, when it comes down to that thin line, I guess there's more, like, people tend to just get lost in translation.
Where do you think that line is drawn from being harmless to being something that you're actually afraid of?
And I panicked, so I just start walking a little bit faster. I'm like, okay, maybe he's following, maybe he's not. Last semester, I had my 8 o'clock class, and afterwards I was walking back to my apartment, and a man was across the street from me, and he, like, said something to me. It was like a cap, I don't really remember what it was, and then he, like, waved to me, and I'm like, I don't know this guy. And so I just kept walking, and then something told me to turn around, and I turn around, and I see him just, like, standing, like, literally, like, this close to me. And I panicked, so I just start walking a little bit faster. I'm like, okay, maybe he's following, maybe he's not. So I cross the street, and he crosses the street too. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he was really trying to talk to me back there, and he's following me now. I just start running to my apartment, and I didn't want to go into my apartment, so I went into my car, and I locked the doors, and when I was running, I kind of lost him, and I saw him in my rearview mirror, just, like, looking around, like, trying to find me. So, like, he was really following me, and it was just because, like, I guess he wanted to talk to me, so he was following me. Maybe, I don't know what he wanted to do. And then maybe, like, 2 days later, I went to work, and I was searching on 6abc.com, and I saw that same guy, I saw his picture on there, that same guy stabbed a technical student, like, the night before. I just do remember just thinking, wow, like, this could have been a lot more serious. This is serious.
First and foremost, it's fear. If I'm a woman and I'm getting out of the gym and I want to go to my dorm or my car or to the class, like, I have to think about what people are going to say to me on the way there, and worry about, like, what I look like and what might happen.
A lot of women that join or enroll in our program have little or to none experience in self-defense, and I believe they join just to get the knowledge and get the wisdom how to protect themselves.
Because all I'm looking to do with this is move his hands away from my throat. So if he really got a good grip, I just need that.
The class is 90% education and 10% hands-on. We teach more to escape rather than fight. But if you caught in the corner that you have to fight, we have a lot of techniques to show you how to get out of a chokehold, how to get out of somebody got you in a bear hug. What we want out the program is to empower the girls. We want them to feel empowered. We want them to leave with knowledge. Basically, it's a life skill that they can take whether they go on vacation, or whether they go back home, or whether they live in North Philly. You get a good description of the person who's catcalling you, and just ignore it and just keep walking. And if you feel threatened, just stop a police officer.
Street harassment has this really deep impact on folks. It leads to feelings of fear and shame and helplessness. But street harassment also escalates to violence. So in Washington, D.C., we saw a woman shot in the foot after she refused to respond to her harasser. In New York City, we saw a pregnant woman run over by a car and killed after ignoring her harasser. And in Detroit, just a few months ago, when a woman was leaving a funeral with her 3 children, a man asked for her number. And when she politely declined, he turned around and shot her in the head in front of her 3 kids. Her name was Mary Spears. And despite all this evidence, this powerful misconception still exists. The street harassment's not a problem, that it doesn't impact society.
Walk a Mile is part of a larger international nonprofit organization. It's a walk to address and provide education and awareness about the issue of sexual violence and what they term gender violence. And men literally walk a mile in high-heeled shoes, and it's supposed to represent what it feels like to be in her shoes. They're not experiencing the same type of thing that a woman walking around in red high-heeled shoes would, but it's symbolic, and it brings awareness and the issue to the forefront of everyone's mind.
When we walk today, we are not only literally putting ourselves in her shoes, but we are also figuratively showing that we are willing to make a change. We'll change our beliefs, we'll change our attitudes, and we'll change our behavior. This problem that often ends up in the bedroom, it can begin on the streets. I'm talking about a prevailing culture of disrespect, evidenced by the public and offensive comments made by those who feel the need to express their unwanted opinions about the physical appearance of strangers. More simply put, street harassment. Stopping gender violence begins by changing the underlying culture that is our attitudes, our beliefs, and our behaviors that can lead to sexual assault.
So, when I was 18 years old, I moved from the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, to big old New York City to go to school. And I wondered why nobody ever said hello to me. I was surrounded by so many people from all over the world. How could we get along if we weren't at least saying hello? And then this guy said hello to me. He was like, "Hello, baby." And I was like, "All right, hello." And he responded, "I want to fuck the shit out of you." So I was stunned, obviously. I mean, like, who says that? And how do you even respond to that? "No, thank you, scary man. I'm good. I'm good." You know, I think that street harassment is something that impacts people on a day-to-day basis, and yet so rarely do we talk about it. It's so often just ignored as the price we pay for being a woman or being gay. So I pretended like it didn't happen, even though, to be honest, it really shook me to my core. And what happened is that wasn't the only time it happened. It happened again and again, and 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day. I would hear this whole range of lewd sexual comments. "Hey girl, I want to hit that." Or, "Girl, can I be your pony?" You know, what people always ask us is, well, how do I respond to street harassment? And the reality is there's no perfect way to respond to street harassment, because ultimately it's not your job to have the perfect response. It's their job not to harass you.
Whatever you do, you're not going to change the world here today, but we can change one small space of it. We can make our place that much safer. We can make sure that the women that we know and the women that we don't know that walk through our place feel safe, feel loved, and know that when something happens to them, they have somewhere to turn. I love my sister, I love my mother, I love my grandmother, I love my wife, I love my daughter. But if I just walk for them today, if I just walk for them, what does that say? So many people that engage in these things, these acts that make women feel unsafe, that make women not want to walk down the street, would never do that to their sister, would never do that to their mother, would never do that to their daughter. We would fight for the women that we know and love. But it takes so much more of a man to fight for the women that we don't know and don't love.
And I'm not saying we all agree on how we're going to end street harassment, but we do all agree that it must end.